Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 24th of March. Indian Supreme Court scraps controversial internet censorship law. Ashraf Ghani welcomes US proposal to delay troops pullout. And Kangana Ranaut emerges Queen at National Film Awards, walks with top honours. And now for all the details. In a landmark judgment, the Indian Supreme Court on Tuesday scrapped a provision in the Information Technology Act which dealt with punishment for offensive posts on social media. The law was widely criticised for being misused by governments to silence its critics.
The Supreme Court viewed the contentious Section 66 of the IT Act as unconstitutional. The court also observed that the law was against the public's right to know. Petitioners of the case said they welcomed the court's judgment.
So I feel that, people were scared, but that didn't stop them, which is why we kept fighting. Because, the people have the right to have their opinions known, and to curtail such a right is shocking. So I'm so happy that the Supreme Court has upheld the citizens' rights and struck down Section 66A.
The Section 66 allowed the police to arrest anyone posting objectionable material on social media. It also prescribed a 3-year jail term for such offenders. The law has been widely condemned ever since its adoption in 2000 for being used as a political tool by both federal and provincial governments. In 2012, 2 girls were arrested in Western Maharashtra for a social media post criticizing a statewide shutdown call made by the Shiv Sena to mourn the death of its founder Bal Thackeray. A college professor was also arrested in eastern Kolkata in the same year for allegedly posting a cartoon against Provincial Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Recently, a teenager student was taken into custody in Uttar Pradesh for his social media post against Provincial Minister Azam Khan. Observers said the judgment will help in ensuring freedom of expression.
It's a very progressive step, and this kind of a moral policing, and they will decide what we write, we decide how we think, how we move, how we put our comments. It's becoming a police state. Whoever they want, somebody, you just pick up 2 young girls and then you pick up this other man. I think it's a very, very good judgment, and it will send down a very good message also.
India has always been one of the top countries in demanding social media sites to take down content. The government had also recently blocked 33 websites, including many popular video streaming sites, but cancelled the move after protests.
China has called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday for talks on the disputed border issue. Headed by Yang Jiechi as special representative, the Chinese delegation aimed to ease the strained relations over a territorial disagreement between the 2 Asian neighbours.
A tense border standoff that has lasted for decades between China and India was the subject of talks between Chinese and Indian diplomats in India. Chinese diplomats also met with Prime Minister Modi in a signal of the dispute's prominence ahead of a likely visit by India's leader to China in May. These are the first official level discussions over the more than 4,000-kilometer long boundary since the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government came to power in May last year. Relations between the giant Asian neighbours took a dip in late 2014 over alleged incursions by China across the militarized line of actual control, the de facto border. However, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited India around the same time, and that apparently opened a channel with Prime Minister Modi on the issue. But at least one opposition party leader wants New Delhi to rule out compromise with Beijing on the scope of the talks.
India has to unequivocally tell China that it cannot change the goalposts with regard to the agreed principles on which the talks are supposed to take place. Under those circumstances, it should be made clear to the Chinese leadership that the principles which were settled insofar as the parameters of the talks are concerned, they will have to be adhered to, and under no circumstances should China even endeavour to unsettle them.
Observers feel that the latest border talks, the 18th round, might not yield a resolution, but they are seen as a good step to keep a dialogue open.
Baloch activists and international think tanks are trying to bring to light the issues surrounding continuous state abuses and human rights violations in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan.
A prominent US think tank has expressed concern over state abuses and human rights violations in Pakistan's largest but poorest province of Balochistan. At the 28th regular session of the UNHRC in Geneva, political scientists of Research and Development Cooperation demanded Islamabad to make efforts towards addressing the matter. The event, titled Buried Human Rights, Global Geopolitics and Regional Repercussions, Balochistan in the Shadows, was organized by Brussels-based Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization. Speakers said the grave situation in Balochistan would impact the entire region.
It's a very complex situation. And the fact that it has been sidelined in international fora, I think, is worrying because it has ramifications for Pakistani stability. It has ramifications for regional stability. Remember, Balochistan is not just Pakistan, but it incorporates Afghanistan and Iran. And issues of state abuses, human rights violations, these are all international concerns that need to be addressed. And they certainly can't be brushed under the table just under the guise of counterterrorism, counterinsurgency.
The mineral-rich Balochistan has been roiled by a separatist insurgency for political autonomy for more than 6 decades. Residents have for years blamed the federal government for signing the $45.6 billion Pakistan-China Economic Corridor project without informing the provincial administration. They continue to protest Pakistan's move of handing over the control of strategically important Gwadar region to Chinese firms. Baloch leaders at the meeting called upon international intervention to prevent China's plans.
The impact is going to be way beyond the borders of Balochistan, Pakistan or South Asia, because the implications of what Pakistan and especially Pakistan, China are planning together is going to be, the ripples effect are going to go all the way to Europe and North America, because they have some evil designs, evil intentions for the future, and the world will react, and it should react to the evil plans of Pak-China program.
Baloch have for years been claiming that the Chinese-backed mega projects in Gwadar would encourage mass migration of Punjabis and Pashtos to Balochistan in the name of infrastructural project, leading to a demographic re-engineering of the province.
The United States has assured Afghanistan of adequate help in maintaining stability and continue funding its security forces despite calls for a troops pullout. The leaders of the two nations also pledged to jointly fight the Taliban.
President Barack Obama is said to be considering of slowing down the pace of the US drawdown in Afghanistan. Both American and Afghan leadership are expected to finalize the plan for troop pullout in the war-torn nation. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, who is on a 5-day visit to the US, got a ceremonial welcome at the Pentagon by Defense Secretary Ash Carter on Tuesday. President Ghani, who is accompanied by Afghan Chief Executive Abdullah, also met Secretary of State John Kerry at the US presidential retreat at Camp David. Carter pointed at Washington's plans of funding Afghan security forces at a targeted peak level of 352,000 personnel into 2017 to provide stability as foreign troops withdraw from the country. The Afghan president, before starting his US visit, had warned that the Islamic State fighters were adding to the Taliban threat in the country. Speaking about the prospects for negotiations between the Taliban and the Afghan government, Kerry said the militia could be invited if they remain peaceful in an acceptable way according to international values and standards of governance. This is President Ghani's first landmark visit to the US as the head of state, which is aimed at starting a new phase of the long-term relation between the two nations. His trip also comes as the US-led NATO troops continue to withdraw from Afghanistan, leaving a power vacuum and giving an opportunity to the Taliban to gain ground.
And in the meantime, protests are continuing in Afghanistan against the brutal killing of a woman by a mob for alleged blasphemy. Many called upon the government to bring the perpetrators of the crime to justice.
Afghan civil society and activists continued their demonstrations in capital Kabul against the killing of a 27-year-old woman accused of blasphemy last week. They also planted a tree on the spot where her body was burned by the mob. Protesters called for strict punishment of those who instigated the crime against Farkhunda.
ما باید به سخت‌ترین جزا و در محله اونا باید اعدام شوند. اونم رقم که فرخنده را گرفتن سوختاندن باید اونم رقم سوختانده شوند.
خیلی هیجانی شدیم که چرا بی‌جهت بدون از اینکه اطلاعاتی کسب کنند و این خانم به این شکل فجیع حمله کردند و سوختاندن و به دریای کابل انداختند. و ما از دولت می‌خواهیم، از ترافیک کابل می‌خواهیم که چرا این واقعه رخ داد و از خون از این دفاع می‌کنیم.
Farkhunda's family and eyewitness claimed that she was falsely implicated by a cleric after she got into an argument with him. They also said she did not burn pages of Quran as accused by cleric Maulvi Ayaz Niazi, who has been condemned for publicly endorsing the burning of Farkhunda over alleged blasphemy. Police have detained 18 people over the incident. 13 policemen have also been suspended for having failed to do enough to stop the attack. Desecrating Quran is considered an act of blasphemy in Islam and it carries death penalty in majority Islamic countries. But in most of the cases, the accused are often beaten up or even killed by frenzy mob.
A Bangladesh court has directed the police to initiate an investigation against Bangladesh Nationalist Party's senior vice president Tariq Rahman for insulting the country's founding father Mujibur Rahman. The court on Monday sought a report from the police by April 27th. Tariq, the son of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, had called Sheikh Mujibur Pak Bandhu or friend of Pakistan last year. He had also claimed that Mujibur was a Razakar, a term used to describe the pro-Pakistani forces during the 1971 liberation war of the nation. Tariq, who is facing a number of criminal cases in Bangladesh, including murder and corruption, had fled the country in 2008 and is living in London ever since. Freedom fighters and activists had urged the government to extradite him to face trial for insulting the father of the nation. And moving on, the flag of Bangladesh kept fluttering all day long as the nation got soaked in the spirit of patriotism. Bangladesh observed the National Flag Day with many remembering the struggle of their war heroes.
Joy and delight gripped Bangladesh on Monday as the nation marked its National Flag Day with fervor. Thousands of Bangladeshis from all across the country converged at the parade ground in capital Dhaka shouting slogans. The patriotic spirit caught people from all walks of life who took to the special processions bearing the national flags. Participants reflected on the significance of the day.
আজ থেকে ৪৪ বছর আগে প্রথম আমাদের দেশে স্বাধীনতার এই পতাকা উত্তোলন হয়েছিল। এই দিবসটি আমাদের জন্য অনেক গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আমি চাই প্রতি বছর এই দিবসটি পালন হোক।
The day was celebrated with cultural revelry as various groups took to songs and dance to cherish the big day amid national feeling. On this day, 44 years back, citizens of the country hoisted their national flag for the first time under the Pakistan regime. Awami League leader and father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, declared the independence of Bangladesh 3 days later on 26 March 1971.
Bollywood actor Kangana Ranaut bagged the Best Female Actor National Award for portraying a middle-class Delhi girl in last year's blockbuster film, Queen. The complete list of winners for the 62nd edition of the awards was announced by its panel in capital New Delhi on Tuesday. While Kannada actor Vijay was chosen the Best Male Actor for his film Nanu Avanallan Avalu, Best Direction went to Bengali movie Chotushkon. Multilingual Court also got the Best Feature Film honour. Priyanka Chopra starrer biopic Mary Kom bagged Best Popular Film, providing wholesome entertainment. Queen also won the Best Hindi Film title. Ranaut, who had swept the trophies at all of the top ceremonies this year, including the Filmfare Award, will receive the highest honour alongside other winners by the President at a function on May 3rd. This is Ranaut's second national award after 2008 film Fashion. Veteran actor Shashi Kapoor will also receive his Dada Saheb Phalke Award at the same event. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Indian Supreme Court scraps controversial internet censorship law. Ashraf Ghani welcomes US proposal to delay troops pullout. And Kangana Ranaut emerges Queen at National Film Awards, walks with top honours. Now viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.